What's going on, everyone? The Golden State Warriors are in some serious trouble and real jeopardy of missing the play-in tournament altogether. And if you rewind about a month or so ago, it did not look like they would be in this situation at all. They were a team that, yes, they had their struggles early on, but it was like, hey, they have a very relatively easy schedule coming up. Draymond Green's coming back. He comes back. He kind of seems to right the ship a little bit for the Golden State Warriors. Warriors go on this run where they look just absolutely hot and like one of the top teams in the league. And then Jonathan Kuminga, his emergence. And it's like, okay, Warriors are starting to hit their stride about 2 months before the season's over. They'll climb up. They'll get into, at worst, the 7th or 8th seed and finish hopefully as the 6th seed, and they'll be all straight. And that hasn't happened. They are the 10th seed still. They are coming off of a very tough loss, back-to-back losses really, but a really tough loss against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it does not get easier for them. They have 8 out of their next 10 games on the road, and you look at some of the games and it's like, okay, the Spurs, the Hornets, you got the Portland Trailblazers, those are winnable games. But then you look at the Miami Heat, the Orlando Magic, the Dallas Mavericks are coming up. Then you have the Houston Rockets, and you still have a home game against Dallas. You have the Lakers coming up, who they are trying to stay ahead of you. The Warriors could really and genuinely be on the outside looking in rather quickly. And you have this hungry, young, just very talented Houston Rocket team that is, if it wasn't for that stretch where they went 3-9 or whatever, they could very well be in a much better position. They've just been very inconsistent this season, right? They'll go on a 5 or 6 game win streak, and then they'll lose 4 or 5, 6 games. And that's the issue, right? The month of February was really rough for them, because they only won 3 games total in the month of February. And now they're looking good. They're right in the ship, but it might be a little too late for Houston. Made a video on them the other day. Definitely go check it out after this video. But the future is definitely bright with the Houston Rockets, right? And no one really, obviously, when they went and got the veteran guys, the idea was to be not in the 10th seed. The Warriors, the same thing. The Warriors had no plans. Warrior fans, nobody had any plans of the Warriors being the 10th seed. Or even potentially missing the playoff or play-in entirely. And Houston was like, okay, they want to try to expedite this a little bit, but how many people thought Houston would be a top 4 team in the West? Very few people. Maybe there were some Houston fans, but there were people, and I don't think anyone would have been super surprised if they were, 7th or 8th, maybe even 6th if they could have squeezed in. But you looked at going into the season, it was where do they fit? Because you got to keep in mind, the Grizzlies with Ja, right? You were okay, the Grizzlies, if they don't completely fall apart, you got them, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Clippers, the Suns, the Lakers, right? And it's those are just the top 6 teams. And again, I'm talking about going into the season. Obviously, we've had teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder really emerge. The Pelicans are having a really good year. Sacramento and Dallas have been really good, right? Lakers are the 9th seed. The Warriors are the 10th seed. And so it has been a little bit of a surprise, and there have been a couple surprise teams, and that was where many people were hoping the Rockets would fit in, right? Be that Thunder team, the surprise team that is somewhere up in the standings, right? But to me, it was you got the veterans, which I do think the Houston Rockets overpaid for Fred VanVleet and Jeff Green. Okay, sure. Dylan Brooks, I definitely think they overpaid for, and he's been very good for them this year. Don't get me wrong, but I think that they could have gotten some veteran guys that would have been a little cheaper. However, I get it. And the reason why they probably got those guys, period, is because they overpaid. Where those players could have went to other teams where they would have maybe have had some more success. But Houston is a team that I do see progressing as the years go on. And could end up, I mean, seriously, they could easily end up overtaking the Warriors, which would be quite the story. And it's going to be really fun just kind of going through the motions the rest of this season and just watching the back and forth between the Warriors and the Rockets, right? Because, I mean, both teams. So, like, you look at the Houston Rockets, right? As I mentioned, the Warriors have like Miami and just a tough schedule coming up. The Houston Rockets have the Portland Trailblazers. If the Rockets beat the Blazers and the Warriors lose to the Heat, guess what? Now they are tied. They are at a gridlock. And now it's just like who can get that extra game the rest of the way. Now, Houston does have a couple of really tough matchups coming up. They got the Thunder, they got the Dallas Mavericks, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Warriors, as I mentioned. And that game against the Warriors could be the deciding factor. I am very excited for that April 4th matchup between the Warriors and the Rockets, because whoever wins that game very likely could end up being the 10th seed. But, and then they got the Heat, the Mavericks again, the Orlando Magic, the Utah Jazz, and the Portland Trailblazers and the Clippers. Now, look, if we're being honest, what Houston's done is great. To win 8 straight games, period, is very accomplishing. And they've won like 11 out of or 10 out of 11 in the month of March, right? The only loss that they have in the month of March is the Clippers. Again, if they would have had a better February, they might be in the conversation for like that 7th, 8th seed, maybe even the 6th. But unfortunately, they just didn't handle business then. But here's the thing. I mean, again, for being honest and we're being fair, the Houston Rockets have had a very easy schedule the rest of the way. Right? Out of the 8-game win, or let's just go the entire month of March. Right? The notable wins are the Phoenix Suns, the Sacramento Kings, Cleveland. Okay, we give them Cleveland, right? Because they don't have Donovan Mitchell, but Cleveland's still a solid team. And the Bulls, we'll give them the Bulls. That's really 4 teams. The other teams were the San Antonio Spurs, the Portland Trailblazers, the Spurs again, the Washington Wizards, the Washington Wizards again, and now the Utah Jazz. Right? And again, I don't want to undersell or take away, but it's a big difference when you're beating a bunch of tanking draft pick teams and you're beating, if they, like, you look at the month of February and it was like they played the Timberwolves, the Pacers, the Knicks, the Pelicans, the Suns, the Thunder, the Suns, right? Like, so it's one thing to if they won 8 out of 10 games and 6 of them were against playoff teams or top teams in the East or the West. It's another thing when, you win 10 out of 11 and 4 of those 10 wins are against, and I'm even, again, are the Bulls, like, where do you rank the Bulls? Right? Where do you rank the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell? Right? But Houston, look, is very promising. And if I'm being honest, I would love to see Houston overtake the Warriors. And it's not one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, the Warriors F the Warriors. Like, no, I have on record and I have said before that I think, dynasties and having that franchise like a Warriors the last 10 years plus, I think is good for the NBA. I think it's good for sport because you have either the group in the camp that's like, yeah, Warriors, go Warriors, woo. And then you have the other camp that's like, F the Warriors, we hate the Warriors, blah, 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 right? Boo. It's good because you have this thing that fans from all over are rallying either behind or against. And you build that villain, right? It's what they make movies and stories about, right? You have that villain. But when you have the underdog and you have the David versus Goliath type thing, and it's like David wins, that's always good too, right? To see the young team that has a lot of promise move up and sneak into the play-in tournament and overtake the big bad Warriors, right? And then you get all the talks like, oh, the dynasty's dead, all the Lakers really ended their dynasty last year. You're gonna get all of the narrative, all of the conversation, and it just makes for good storytelling, right? Now, I know some people, because a lot of you are subscribed to this channel and my Laker channel and stuff like that. I know some people are going to be like, well, you're a Laker fan. Of course you want them to overtake the Warriors. Well, yeah, I would rather play the Rockets than the Warriors, but it's not even that. Like, the Rockets, I just don't see catching the Lakers, right? I don't. I mean, the Lakers are 3.5 games ahead of the Houston Rockets. It's a lot of games with only like 12 left, right? The Lakers, unless they just magically lose 8 games or something crazy like that, which I just don't see happening. If you look at the Lakers' schedule the rest of the way, especially compared to the Houston Rockets' schedule, it's tough. But you can make up a game, right? So again, if the Warriors being the 10 seed, I think that the Houston Rockets could overtake it. But they're coming. Houston's coming, and this is going to be a fun race. Fun race. You got the race at the top, which I think is pretty interesting, and then you got the race for like the 6th through 7th seed, which I think is cool. And then now you got the race for number 10. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think out of you? What are your thoughts on the Houston Rockets? What are your thoughts on them potentially catching and overtaking the Warriors? Do you think they do that? Do you think they don't? Do you want them to do that? Do you not? Look, Houston, yeah, you win. You have the Cinderella story. You're the underdog. No one's expecting you to win. You go in and win 2 straight games. All of a sudden, you get in as the 8th seed. It would be a story. It would definitely be a story. And they have a lot of momentum right now. Jalen Green's been playing out of his mind. Out of his mind. So, no, I just think it'd be a fun story. But anyway, again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me to enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.